Hey, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the highlights of the InfoComm show 2025, at least from my perspective. The InfoComm show is a very, very large trade show if you're not familiar with it. It's hosted by an organization called AVIXA, which is the Audiovisual Integrated Experience Association. And I highly, highly recommend InfoComm when you compare it to any other AV trade show. And there's a good chance you'll be able to find a complimentary ticket to it. They just kind of give out a lot of complimentary tickets through their partners and vendors who are hosting the show. It's a really great way to hear PA systems in person because they have dozens of demo rooms from all of the major manufacturers, and then you can also get your hands on a lot of gear that's on the trade show floor. So this year it was in Orlando at the convention center. Next year it's going to be at the Las Vegas Convention Center. It pretty much alternates between Orlando and Las Vegas, which are arguably the two biggest AV hubs in the country. So since the one in Orlando was in my backyard, myself went to the show as well as Adam and Luke. We get to spend some quality time hanging out together for 2 days at the trade show, walking the floor, demoing systems, and it really just left me feeling inspired about what we're doing and what we're building here at Churchfront, trying to resource churches with the best gear and solutions possible for their ministry. So today I want to take you through this presentation that I created that kind of just takes you on a journey of what I experienced, and you guys can hopefully glean some tips from this, or maybe you'll learn about some pieces of gear that you've never heard of that could be an interesting solution for you. So our time at InfoComm actually started at this event hosted by Church Gear called The Mix. Props to them for taking the time to coordinate this, and basically they invited anybody in the worship production world or church production world to come to First Baptist Church in Orlando. And I've made the video at this church before about their LED wall, and I've been here for Exponential Conference before, but it was cool to actually tour around the system a little bit more, especially to experience the audio system that they have there. So that's where Luke and I and Adam went at first, and here's the view from their lighting consoles at front of house. I say consoles because I think it's more than one lighting console. They have the two Grand Amaze or Grandma 2s back here. And then their DMB system. This is what I kind of nerded out about, because I'm learning a lot about PA systems, especially larger systems, and which ones I prefer over others. This is a large DMB line array system. DMB is up there with DMB, L-Acoustic, Meyer, I think are the three big boy PA systems. And I'm not going to tell you who my favorite is. Hint, hint. I got this shiny new Meyer hat in the mail. They all sound pretty phenomenal. What I was blown away by is when you look at how big this space is. I was up here in the balcony. You can see on the other side of the room is about this high up. And this line array here was pretty much getting this whole stretch from front to back, and it sounded incredible even when I was like this far away. I feel like it's got to be over 100 feet away. I don't know. I didn't have my laser measure. Maybe closer to 150 feet away from that speaker. The line array, it throws so much farther, so the speaker sounds like it's close and clear to my ears. And they really only had a few delays in their system, not until you got up underneath the very tip top of the balcony portion. So just a very efficient PA system. And then it was loud. These guys I think they were running it at like over 110 decibels. That's with C weighting when they were demoing the system. So sounded great. So thanks to the guys at First Baptist Orlando for letting us walk through their space and get a closer look at it and to learn, be inspired. Up next, we went to the trade show, and the first thing we see is the Legrand booth. So Legrand AV, they sell brands like Middle Atlantic, Cable to Go, Delight. So the Middle Atlantic, we've been using a lot of Middle Atlantic equipment racks lately this year for a lot of our jobs. You'll see them in our videos. And this is the BGR rack. This is a bit bigger than the ERK rack. So as our solutions get larger, we need more space to cable manage and put equipment in these racks. We're actually upgrading to a lot of the BGR racks on our installs now, and it's great because it's just they're deeper, they're wider, more expandability, accessories. You can gang the racks together. You can put some cool lights in them as well. So equipment racks, didn't really think a whole lot about them until we started doing these larger integration projects, and they can get very involved and complex, but it's very important for having a professionally managed AV solution to have everything properly racked. Speaking of equipment racks, I really like these white racks by Unify. We went by the Unify booth. Unify is like the Apple of the IT world in terms of whoever their product design team is. Maybe arguably they're better than Apple these days, especially after you see things like the liquid displays come out and stuff like that. Hard to say if Apple's really the leader in design anymore. They've kind of passed their peak or whatever. But you have companies like Unify. They're creating so much hardware, and these racks look phenomenal. I like kind of the light mode white racks. I didn't know they made racks, so that's kind of cool. And then just walking by the hardware at the Unify booths, like they have so many products. You should go onto their website, check out the different products, because especially anything to do with networking or security cameras, any type of solutions like that could really come in handy for your church. I'm just a huge fan. We've been using Unify now for about, over 6 months on everything that we do, and just really been enjoying it in the integration and the product solutions that they have. And it all just kind of works. It works together, and it's very easy to manage. So the Unify products, like some of these things where I'm like, oh, okay, we've been using these access points here, but then they had some larger access points that are more meant for large gathering spaces. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. We're putting access points in large gathering spaces. Maybe we should consider speccing those. Of course, there's costs and budgets that have to be considered through that as well. And these other ones we've been speccing have been working fine. But to me, this is why I love walking a trade show. I'm like, I didn't even know that company made that product. I didn't even know that product exists. That's why I'm really glad I was able to walk around. I put my hands on a DM7 Compact. I don't know if I've actually had put my hands on one of these until this trade show. I really like it. I like the form factor. It's about a similar size to an Avantis Solo, not the main Avantis. It's about the same price as the regular size Avantis. But the DM7 by Yamaha, I liked it. Just the hardware is very nice, you can tell, and the software UI. I haven't spent a lot of time on Yamaha, so I'd have to spend quite a bit more time learning the UI and how to navigate the mixing console, like the EQ, the compression, the processing, the routing, all that fun stuff. But I do like the quality. I see the appeal, especially if you're getting into a world where you need higher channel counts. You want to be on the more pro side of AV solutions. It's not a bad option for mixing. Although I'll just say Allen and Heath, in my opinion, really covers the full gamut from beginner mixing console to pro mixing consoles better than anybody else, specifically for churches. I went to by the Canon booth, and I'm actually filming this video on one of the Canon CRN 500s. We've actually used that now as our main studio camera. I'm actually recording into Ecamm Live, and it's just really great. Very convenient way to create content and create it in a quality way. But we stopped by this booth where they had a few of these PTZ cameras set up, and they have some exciting new intelligent PTZ software capability coming out here, where they had actors sitting in this little studio area here, and I just kind of walked up and I started moving the camera around, and when I moved the camera to one actor, the other two cameras in the situation actually knew I put one camera there, so they like reframed themselves to the other subjects within the scene, and it just kind of blew my mind because it was like dynamic AI movement of the camera. I don't know all the specific details of this. This gentleman was telling me about it. I'm going to wait till they actually do a release or whatever so I can kind of see this in action or demo it in another scenario. But I do know what was happening is, see these two white cameras up here in the top left? These two cameras were just kind of giving the software a view of like the whole scene in the room. And then here you have this analyzer view that I believe that software was then saying, okay, here's a subject, here's our camera angles right here. And that's how it was able to know what was going on and then relay that data to the other PTZ cameras to like redirect themselves. So I think we're seeing the future of camera operation. It's getting pretty slick. Imagine if you had a bunch of cameras and you could have like one camera operator, eventually probably no camera operators. And, if you have one camera operator, they can direct the camera where they want. The other cameras will reframe and adjust accordingly. Probably be a little bit tricky as a video director. Want to make sure you coordinate that well. So that was cool. I also like this new PTZ controller by Canon. This is RCP1000. I think it ends with 1000. I can't remember the rest of that model name, but this is the bigger brother, and it's only been out for just over a year. So a PTZ controller. It's a bigger brother to the one we usually spec for these Canon cameras. And it has a built-in touchscreen display that actually shows you a video preview of your cameras. So I think that's kind of cool. I'm a big fan of that. Probably could be easier for having a built-in display to also like set your exposure and stuff on those PTZ cameras. Sometimes when you're trying to set exposure on PTZ cameras, it's difficult trying to look off of like just a computer monitor or TV monitor. I'm not really sure what the actual true color is, especially if those are budget monitors. So I like the idea of having something a bit higher quality built right into the controller right there. Up next, we went to a booth called Shuttle. This company makes the little computers that you actually can put in like large billboard displays or other AV solutions that need some sort of computer on site to run control software. And I like this because we are installing little computers. We've been installing Intel NUCs in computers and into equipment racks, and that works well. I like the shuttles that are a bit more beefier, a bit more durable, and have more processing power. You can spec them out however you would like, but they're just also super compact. So we could stick these in equipment racks to just run certain software. Like for PowerSoft, we do use Harmonia is the PowerSoft's DSP for the amplifiers to control and program and tune amplifiers. And it runs on Windows only, so it's good to have a Windows computer for that. You guys know how much I love Windows. And then having just like a computer that's separate from our clients' computers that runs things like Dante Controller, Jump Desktop, so we can just remote in and not disturb any of the other clients' computers to kind of see where the system is at and help troubleshoot any issues that might come up. Up next, I went to the Allen & Heath booth. So the Allen & Heath booth, I was very excited to get my hands on for the first time, the QU console. This is, to me, I'm the most excited about these new consoles coming out now. This was a much needed refresh on these consoles. I made another video about it. I have a couple of them on order, so when they do get here, I'll start making some hands-on content. And I really do plan on using it quite a bit in our training content for Churchfront Premium, because to me, I think this is the best starting point moving forward for a lot of churches with their consoles. So I'll make a lot more content on that coming up, but it was great to get my hands on it, try it out. Great console. Then came the portion of the show where we did lots of listening. So probably I felt like it was half of each day. Luke and Adam and I were just like sitting in rooms listening to systems. Martin Audio in their PAs, I was impressed. I really like what I heard. And here's the thing about all these PA demos. There are so many great speaker solutions out there that are available. It kind of you can see it's like all of these companies have pretty happy customers, which is why they're as big as they are. They're able to do shows like this, and they're always coming out with cool new products. So don't get too hung up in like which brand is the best brand. Like I have my preferences and my favorites. And especially now that we're running an integration company, I want to get really good at installing particular solutions, right? So Fulcrum Acoustic has been a popular one that we've been focused on because I really think it hits a lot of the quality and the budget that works well for a lot of churches. And then also, I'd say that's like in the mid-range. And then you get Meyer. That's my favorite because I have a lot of experience mixing on a Lena system. I love it. It's still my hands down favorite system. If someone asks me, what's your favorite system for churches? Meyer Lena. And yes, there are better PAs out there, whether it's by L-Acoustic or DMB or even the Meyer Panther. But to me, I'm talking about like a small to mid-sized space, which is most churches with a premium sound. Meyer Lena is my favorite route to go. What I wanted to make clear though is that like the important thing with PA design is make sure you have a proper design for your space, because again, these boxes are great. They all reproduce sound at an incredible fidelity. But you want to make sure that you're taking into account the shape of your room. Where do you need to have coverage? How loud does it have to be? And then that's when you start selecting these different boxes from manufacturers, whether it's Martin or Fulcrum or Meyer or L-Acoustic. You want to make sure that you're selecting the right tool for the job. And that's where having a professional PA designer is very, very important. So we have a couple of those on our team now. So every time a church comes to us and works with us in Churchfront Pro, and they're getting a very detailed design for the best systems for their space, that's the type of approach that we're taking to it. It's like, yeah, we have our favorite brands we like to work with, but we're also, more importantly, within those brands and manufacturers, selecting the right boxes for the space. And then, if it's that brand or manufacturer doesn't have the right box, we'll look at a different one and find the best solution for the space. So Martin, I was very impressed with. It sounded good, especially just like these are a little bit more on the budget to mid-level side of things. Again, I didn't look at all the prices on them, but I know it's not like a super, super premium PA brand like Meyer is. But Martin, to me, I was very impressed. I think I liked the sound of a lot of the boxes that I heard there. So if your church is looking at a point source, I would consider that. Up next was Fulcrum. So I'm really excited. Fulcrum, you guys have seen them on our channel a lot. Fulcrum, in my mind, what I like about them, they're based in Massachusetts, and these guys are just like, all the companies have scientists on their team, but these guys feel like they're more scientific than usual in what they do. The engineering is incredible. I also like how all their boxes and everything is made, handmade within Massachusetts. I'd love to go tour the factory sometime, but it's cool. They showed us some footage of their factory, and they keep growing, and it's cool. Like, it's being truly made in America. I'm sure they outsource some of the smaller components and stuff from overseas, but I'm a big fan of that. And then Fulcrum has amazing point source speakers you've seen on the channel. We're actually about to install our first line array by Fulcrum just next month. I'm really excited for that. And then they have these constant curvatures. I think the constant curvature is a great fit probably for a lot of small to mid-sized churches, and Fulcrum now has one. So this is the system that they demoed for us. They had the constant curvature, the new system with these other boxes around the room to demo for us kind of their immersive sound. And I do think their immersive sound, they're probably one of the best at it. So it's called the CC series, subcardioid constant curvature array. I'm going to take a coffee break. So what's great about these speakers being subcardioid is when you're behind them, let's pretend you're on stage, there's a significant level in sound decibel reduction. So it's just very quiet behind the speakers. It helps reduce the amount of volume on stage. It helps reduce the gain, or you can increase gain before feedback on your microphones and your sources. It's going to translate into just a better result and a better sound. That was the Fulcrum. That's the main thing. I mean, they talked about other stuff, but that was what I was the most excited about with Fulcrum Acoustic, was this new constant curvature array. Then L-Acoustic, they were really leaning heavy into the immersive sound experience. Their presenter was actually presenting in a way where his mic, he'd walk back and forth on the stage, and the tracking of the system followed him. I don't think I like it. I think it's kind of cool. It feels a little gimmicky. I was trying to imagine if you had this set up at your church. It's like, is it really? To me, the additional cost for an immersive system for a church, really, it's very difficult to justify it making that much sense. Immersive systems, make a ton of sense if you're like a movie theater and you're trying to have like a cinematic immersive experience, right? Or surround sound. I do understand some of the arguments around immersive, where what it allows you to do, it actually can allow mixing to be a bit simpler for a volunteer, because you can actually have much more space in your mix, and you can place things like your vocals can be front and center. You can put your guitars kind of on the back of the mix to this side, and your keys to the back on this side, and your drum, kick, and snare kind of like front and center as well, but the other drums around. So in a way, there could be an argument to be made that the immersive mixing with like the L-acoustic, I think Lisa, and there's the Venue Flex by Fulcrum Acoustic. All these processors, very powerful, very incredible what they do. There's definitely some cool potential to it for churches. I'm just not 100% sold on it in terms of like, I've also seen the price tag when you have to add the processor and the additional speakers and amplifiers. It's really expensive. So again, I don't want to like discourage someone. If you got the budget for it and you've got the talent to justify it at your church, it could be a very cool experience and lead to some cool results. But don't break the bank for something like this. The last thing I'll say about the immersive mixing that's cool is the room emulation, right? So you can really, and they were showing this to us. Again, this isn't like a church specific environment, but they basically demoed a capturing of a symphony at the Hollywood Bowl in LA, which is a large outdoor venue. And the Hollywood Bowl is not meant for a symphony orchestra, right? But if you have the immersive mixing system in there, what you can do is for people in the listening zone at that venue, you can simulate them like sitting in a symphony orchestra, where your surround sound speakers are emulating kind of the ambiance or the ambient sound of the room, and it'll make them feel like they're actually sitting in a symphony hall, even though they're like outside in an environment that's probably really dry sounding because there's like no reflections at all, right? So that's where things can get interesting. If you had a church space where maybe you did want to have a variety of genres of worship music, that could make a lot of sense. Let's say you have a church space that you want to treat it to be pretty dry acoustically for like your modern worship band, but then special events, or maybe you have a traditional service where you have an orchestra playing and you want it to sound like a symphony hall. That's where a solution like this could make a lot of sense for your church. So something to keep in the back of your mind, the immersive sound stuff. Just don't get too caught up in the hype. Stop by our friends at Ape Rigging. Shout out to Danny and his team. You can see here's a solution of Ape Rigging with a Fulcrum box. We install these a lot at churches. It's clean, it's good, it's safe, it's professional, and it's very functional for rigging speakers. Then we went to my favorite demo, the Meyer demo. So this was a cool one. Meyer was making a big deal about their new ability to the way they're networking their speakers and stuff to their DSP, to the speakers, to be able to send audio to speakers over analog or digital, and then also to control the speakers. They also came out with a new audio card for the speakers, and you can go on their website to learn more about it, where basically the existing audio card in the back of their powered speakers can be swapped out for one that has this newer protocol in it, so that DSP can actually be done at the powered speaker itself, and you don't necessarily have to get one of the Galaxy processors. So that's really cool. Thought that was kind of exciting. I'm still relatively newer to the Meyer world, even though I've been on the Lena system at my church in Colorado for about 3 years now, and I just love it. The more systems I hear, the more I'm just a fan of Meyer. We were actually at another client church in Oregon. They had a big Lena system, and for like a 800 person room, and it sounded really good. I was a really big fan of that too. So to me, I just keep hearing all these sound systems. I've tried to be pretty critical and listen critically. There's something about Meyer, and I think it's because they have their self-powered speakers, and they probably really, have plenty of headroom in those boxes, and they probably overspec the amount of power for those boxes. but that's why I think the fidelity is incredible. So they demoed for us the X80s. These are huge point source boxes that, I mean, they could get super, super loud. For a lot of churches, probably the X40s would actually be a great like point source solution for if you have let's say like a couple hundred people, maybe up to 500 people in your space. I might have to add some delays and side fills. I'm considering getting the X40s as a portable point source solution that I want to demo at Rock Harbor to replace the older JBLs that we're using right now. But these X80s, oh man, the fidelity was just so incredible. And then they also demoed their high end, I think their highest end cinema speakers, and it was like, that was insane. Like the amount of detail, they actually demoed Michael Jackson's Billie Jean song, and there's stuff in there, you know, everybody's heard that song before, but there's details you heard in there, like Michael Jackson like snapping he like lightly snaps his finger next to his vocal mic, and you could hear that snapping in the vocal mic, where before you're like, I've never heard that before in the song, even though I've heard the song a gazillion times. So the Meyer's speakers, they are engineered for like the best, most demanding mixing environments ever, right? Like a studio where they're mixing sound or the soundtrack for a movie, right? So like very, very, very high budgets, very high demand. They need high precision with audio, like some of the best best mix engineers and sound designers for that type of environment, right? So like, I think that's why a lot of their approach to it, they're like, you know what, we don't really care how much it's going to cost, so we just want the best sound possible, right? And that's what you get, but you have to pay for it. I do think like companies like L Acoustic and DMB, maybe they're a little bit more stronger and more popular on the large format touring venue worlds, like the show production world. And I think that's why they're popular in that world, especially if a lot of guys come from the show production world and then want to come mix in the church. So again, they all sound phenomenal. You're not going to really go wrong, I don't think, with either one, as long as the system is properly designed for your space. I just still prefer Meyer after listening to dozens and dozens of PA systems. Meyer and then Fulcrum would be the next one down. We're still kind of feeling out the market for like what would be the next step down for a type of PA that would really be a value option. We listened to RCF. Those were okay. They sounded like value options. We listened to some speakers by K-Array, but that's kind of a different world. K-Array makes speakers, from my understanding of the presentation, more for like nightclubs and things like that. It sounded great, very loud, but I'm like, I don't think churches is really their like target demographic, market demographic. So QSC, you know, there's so many great brands out there, and we're kind of shopping out options. If you guys have feedback on, you know, if Meyer's the high end, if Fulcrum's kind of mid-range ish to high-ish end, and then you have something underneath that's more budget value, let me know what you guys think are the best like budget value PA speakers out there down below in the comments. Finally, we went to the Allen and Heath booth, actually multiple times, but this time we went with our clients, Brandon and Nathan, who were from Church at the Grove, and that was a great time because they actually they weren't too far away in Atlanta, so they were able to travel down, meet us at the InfoComm show, and then we were able to show them some of these solutions that we are considering for their system design here at the InfoComm show. So they could actually hear the Fulcrum system. They are blown away by it. And we could actually show them here. We're looking at the Allen and Heath AHM solutions that are great for distributed audio and easy control of your audio system so people don't have to touch a mixing console. So Allen and Heath AHM plus the custom control. I'm a huge fan of that. I can't wait to start installing that more, and then we'll show you guys that solution for some of our clients. And that was it. So this show, very big fan. I was really excited to meet some of you guys who were there. I know lots of folks at the trade show who watched Churchfront and have supported Churchfront over the years. So great to meet you. I highly recommend marking InfoComm in your calendar for future years. And again, I think there's it's pretty easy to find like the complimentary exhibit access. You do have to pay for like trainings if you want to do the trainings. Speaking of the trainings, if you really want to learn the trade of AV and possibly better qualify yourself to become a better hire for Churchfront someday, read some of the Avixa study guides out there. They have the CTS, which means Certified Technical Specialist, the CTS exam guide. It's like a textbook about this thick, and it really takes you through, it's like AV 101. And then they have CTS-I for install and CTS-D for design, and that's like the 201 for those different aspects of it. So those are great study guides out there if you just want to be learning more, kind of pouring into your own knowledge. It's going to probably save you a ton of headache as a worship leader or tech director for you to understand the basics of this. I know I wish I would have learned this stuff a long time ago. And then what's cool is at InfoComm, Avixa has all these trainings available for you to do live workshops and such. So we went to just the exhibit this year. Maybe next year we'll have more time to go to trainings and such. But that was it. That was my experience of the show. Let me know what tech you guys think was interesting. If you went, what was other tech that I should be aware of? It's really hard to keep up with all of it. I'm sure there's other cool announcements that were out there. I heard, speaking of, Line 6 came out with their new Helix Stadium, so I haven't even had time to really look into that. I don't have much time to play guitar these days either, so that's why you probably haven't seen me post much about that lately, but I'm sure I'll get my hands on one of those here very soon. So head on over to churchfront.com to learn more about working with our team, especially on your next AV project that's coming up. And thanks for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.